The screams came first, then the stampede, people running, falling, scrambling for safety. It was chaos at its purest form. The attacker moved swiftly, his knife glinted under the harsh fluorescent lights. 9 lives snuffed out in mere minutes. The lucky ones made it out, others weren't so fortunate. Blood stained the polished floors, discarded shopping bags littered the walkways. It was a scene frantically to save those they could. Police secured the area, their guns drawn. The hunt for the attacker was on. Shoppers huddled in storerooms, praying for salvation. The day that started so ordinarily had turned into Sydney's darkest hour. As news spread, the city held its breath. Families frantically tried to contact loved ones. Social media exploded with eyewitness accounts. The death toll kept rising. 9 confirmed dead, dozens more critically injured. A nation watched in horror as the tragedy unfolded. Questions began to surface. How could this happen? Who was responsible? The days following the attack were a blur of grief and anger. Makeshift memorials sprung up outside the mall. Flowers, teddy bears, and heartfelt notes covered the pavement. Candlelight vigils were held nightly. The city mourned its lost souls. But beneath the sorrow, a current of fear ran deep. Questions about the attacker's identity dominated conversations. Rumors flew thick and fast. Was he a local, a tourist, an immigrant? The police remained tight-lipped, but the damage was done. Suspicion fell on anyone who looked different. Racial tensions, always simmering beneath the surface, threatened to boil over. Politicians were quick to capitalize on the tragedy. Some called for stricter immigration laws, others demanded better mental health services. The debate raged on every news channel. Social media became a battleground of conflicting opinions. Everyone had a solution, no one had all the answers. As the dust settled, the true cost became clear. 9 families torn apart. Countless lives changed forever. A city's sense of safety shattered. But beyond the immediate tragedy, a deeper impact was brewing. Australia's migration policies, long a point of contention, were about to face their toughest test yet. The ink had barely dried on the police reports when the calls for change began. Australia's migration system, once praised for its efficiency, now faced intense scrutiny. Critics argued it was too lax. Supporters said it was already strict enough. The truth, as always, lay somewhere in between. Government officials scrambled to respond. Emergency meetings were called, experts were consulted. The pressure to act was immense. But what actions to take? Knee-jerk reactions could do more harm than good. Yet doing nothing wasn't an option. The public demanded answers. They wanted to feel safe again. Migration expert, media. Migration expert discussing visa categories and risks. The focus quickly turned to visa categories. Which ones posed the biggest risk? How could they be tightened? The skilled independent visa, subclass 189, came under fire first. Critics argued it allowed too many people in without proper vetting. Supporters countered that it brought much-needed talent to Australia's shores. As the debate raged on, one thing became clear. Australia's migration landscape was about to change dramatically. The tragedy at Westfield had become a catalyst for reform. Whether these changes would make the country safer or just more isolated remained to be seen. But change was coming, ready or not. The General Skilled Migration Programme was next on the chopping block. For years it had been Australia's gateway for skilled workers. Now it faced its toughest test. Calls for stricter language requirements grew louder. Some wanted higher qualification standards, others pushed for longer waiting periods.
Business innovation and investment visas weren't spared either. These visas, designed to attract entrepreneurs and investors, came under intense scrutiny. Critics argued they were open to abuse. They claimed some used them as a backdoor entry. Supporters insisted they were vital for economic growth. The battle lines were drawn.
Student visas, long a cornerstone of Australia's education sector, faced an uncertain future. Universities warned of dire consequences if they were restricted, but public opinion was turning. Many saw them as an easy target. Proposals for tighter monitoring and shorter durations gained traction. The debate grew heated.
And as each visa category came under review, a pattern emerged. The push was towards tighter controls, stricter vetting, and longer waiting periods. The pendulum of public opinion had swung hard. What was once seen as a strength of Australia's multiculturalism was now viewed with suspicion. The country stood at a crossroads, unsure which path to take. As the dust settled and emotions cooled, A sobering reality set in. Knee-jerk reactions wouldn't solve complex problems. Australia needed a balanced approach, one that ensured safety without sacrificing its values. The road ahead would be challenging, but it was a journey the nation had to make.
Experts warned against overreaction. They pointed out that most immigrants contributed positively to society. Statistics showed they were no more likely to commit crimes than anyone else. But fear is a powerful motivator. It often drowns out reason. The challenge was to find a middle ground.
For those caught in the crossfire, the uncertainty was agonizing. Students worried about their futures. Skilled workers feared for their jobs. Business owners wondered if they'd still be welcome. The human cost of policy changes was becoming apparent. Lives hung in the balance.
As Australia grapples with these challenges, one thing is clear. The tragedy at Westfield will leave a lasting impact. It has forced a nation to confront difficult questions about safety, about identity, about what kind of country it wants to be. The answers won't come easy, but they must be found, for the sake of those lost and for the future of a nation built on diversity.